What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and you CDMA users, we're about to get some Windows Phone 7 loving in just a few days. The HTC arrived, coming to Sprint in 3 days, March 20th, $199.99 on contract. You know, specs-wise, pretty much the same as the other Windows Phone 7 devices. 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, 3.6-inch display, a little bit on the small side, but still, actually HTC's smallest display, but still, 5-megapixel camera on the back that's capable of shooting video at 720p HD, so HD video quality. Like I said, the marketplace has just over 10,000 apps according to the latest report, and you know, they made some improvements to the marketplace thanks to the Noto update. So let's take a look. You see the background very similar to the other Windows Phone 7 devices. Here are our app updates. We can update those. I'm not going to right now, but let's scroll over to apps, for example, and let's click the search button, and let's look for, let's say, Twitter. We'll do that. We'll do Twitter. We'll hit search. And it'll bring up some apps and games. There we go. Twitter, Seismic, Bees, Ustream Viewer, some of these other things that either have Twitter in the title or in the description, something like that. But we can go here, for example, download this. I already have my Windows ID, log in, but you can see what it looks like on a typical app page. Gives you a description, gives you some screenshots, gives you those reviews and some related information. So it's clean, it's functional. Hey, you know, I've said that all throughout the video for every program, but you know, it's true. So can't really say it any differently. You can share it or you can install it. Let's go ahead and install that and verify. Let's see here. Allow the access to the location, confirm the installation, and you can see here pending, and you can watch the download status here. Now, one thing, you know, that does irritate me a little bit, you can't constantly see the battery life meter, and you can't constantly see the signal strength indicator. You have to pull it down from the top from time to time. You can see the EVDO indicator there, the Wi-Fi indicator, but watch, it's going to pop back up into the top part of the screen here in just a second. It doesn't stay, there you go, for example, so it doesn't stay on the screen. So anytime you need to see what the battery life is like, there's no widget to tell you, you know, exactly what battery life is, at least natively installed. So you do have to pull that down each and every time. So let's take a look at the browser, and you know, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Absolutely fantastic browser, one of the best in the market in my opinion. And you know, yeah, it doesn't have Flash, but still, let's take a look at PhoneDog. Isn't Flash capable? I mean, the pinch to zoom and just the overall loading, you know, the way it loads and everything, absolutely fantastic. I'll show you in just a second. I mean, the pinch to zoom is phenomenal on this browser. So you can see your buttons down here as well. We'll click that to see exactly what they are. Add favorites and tabs. And then you have your settings and your extended menu stuff. Forward, you can find it on the page, pin it to the start, and more. So we're going to wait for PhoneDog to load. You know, this is an EVDO device. It's not a 4G device, so something to keep in mind if you're looking at this versus the Evo 4G or the Evo Shift 4G. You know, keep that in mind. And Sprint's extended that $10 premium data charge to all of their smartphones. So it might be better for you if you're in a WiMAX area to get a 4G device. But that said, I mean, just look at how smooth that pinch to zoom is. Absolutely fantastic. But this is one of those places where I really begin to realize how small the display actually is when working with something like the Focus or something like the HD7, where there's just a ton of screen space available to browse the web. It's really noticeable here. It's a very, you know, it is a small screen between where the browser bar is and these little buttons down here. I mean, it's pretty condensed and small in comparison to some of the other Windows Phone 7 devices. That said, you can zoom in, you can see that. Our pictures, you know, very easy to see. And zoom in, pinch to zoom, incredibly fast, and then we'll tap. No lag whatsoever. Now granted, like I said, this isn't running Flash, so that's something, you know, an advantage over Android and over some of the other platforms, or HTML5 if you will. So an advantage over some of the other platforms, but still, at speed, you just really can't beat it. That's what it looks like in landscape. And the transition effects on Windows Phone 7, I've talked about this in other videos, but the transition effects to me really make or break a device. And this is something Android's always struggled with because it's a very blocky transition. You know, it's you hold it up and it's boop, boop, boop. Whereas with iOS and, you know, with Windows Phone 7, I think this is a key to success. You'll see that even though it takes a few seconds for the page to turn, that little transition kind of takes your eyes away from that. So something to keep in mind. Now, if you want to add a second page, you can certainly do so. Click that button down there. We'll add a page. And let's, you know, we added that one. Let's say we want to go back to PhoneDog. Click it. Bring back PhoneDog. Bam. You're back on the dog. Just going through, I kind of wish I had time to cover all of this, but it has a 5-megapixel camera with a flash in the back. And you know, like the other Windows Phone 7 devices, it's a pretty good camera. It's not the best on the market by any means, but it's certainly a decent camera. and the zoom capabilities are pretty good. Here we go. Here's the G2. I'm going to zoom in on the keyboard, get a picture of that. And it's, I mean, incredibly simple camera structure. I mean, all you have to do is slide over to see your pictures that you've taken, movies that you've taken, things like that. We'll scroll over here to a picture I took earlier. Scroll to that, and then when you're ready to go back to the camera, instead of any sort of complications, slide it over and take another picture. So you have the physical camera button, half press to hold or to autofocus, full press to take the picture, and then, like I said, scroll back through. Editing options are pretty minor on this device. You have, you know, you can upload it to Microsoft SkyDrive, you can use it as wallpaper, you can share it, and of course you can go into, let's go back into the pictures here just to see the editing options. You can change the effects a little bit, you can change the resolution, some of the scenes, and then you can turn the flash on and off. So it's a basic experience, but still, camera quality is pretty good in my opinion, as is the 720p video recording. So obviously it does have zoom capabilities with music and videos. You can put your music, your videos onto this device and listen to them on the go. Now the ecosystem, it's kind of starting up. You can see it between Zune and Windows Phone 7, kind of like you can see it between iOS, the iPhone, and the App Store. Not nearly to the extent, and not nearly as developed. It's still within its infancy by all means, but still you are getting it kind of an early preview as to what the ecosystem is going to look like on Windows Phone 7. You do get Microsoft Office as well, at least a mobile version, and then you get Xbox Live if you're a gamer. So you can jump on this. Now granted, this has a 1500 milliamp battery, so if you're gaming on a regular basis, this thing's not really going to last that long, so something to keep in mind. Let's take a look at the Sprint Zone before we sign off. Hang out with the brown fox in Georgia. Let's look at the Sprint Zone before we hang out tonight with the brown fox, because I know he's going to ask about the Sprint Zone. You can see you can download those Sprint apps that you know and love, Sprint TV, Sprint Radio, things like that. And let's wait for it to load. Again, you're seeing that EVDO connection at work here. It's not the fastest in the world, but it's nice to see Windows Phone 7 on a CDMA carrier. So you can see some Sprint news here. We'll scroll over, suggested apps. There we go, Sprint TV and movies, Sprint Radio. And for whatever reason, it's telling me I can't get the info. I'm wondering if it's because the device hasn't launched yet, but I'll keep testing that, and we'll see what happens. I'll follow up with you and let you know. Much more coverage to come on the HTC Arrive. All in all, I think it's a pretty decent device. The audio quality's been very good. I've had no dropped calls whatsoever. I took it to a dead spot. I was able to hold the call. Now, it was choppy to the point that I couldn't use it. I couldn't listen to the caller, and they couldn't hear what I was saying. But, you know, the earpiece is nice and loud. HTC does a really nice job with that. They always have. And, you know, the speakerphone works well as well. I paired my Bluetooth headset. It worked well. So all in all, I've been pretty impressed with this device. The only thing I wish it had was 4G capabilities. I wish it had WiMAX. 3G is a little bit slow. EVGO, definite strain on the network, and it's kind of an aging technology that doesn't work so well for these devices where they're just, you know, constantly consuming data. So yeah, I kind of hate to say that, but EVGO is on the way out, in my opinion, and you can really tell in Xbox Live and Sprint Zone those, you know, 5-10 second lags, where something like a Verizon LTE device or T-Mobile HSPA Plus device flies. Keep it locked on the site for additional information, and be sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're giving away new stuff as part of the Colossal iPad 2 and smartphone sweepstakes, so be sure to look out for that. Follow me on Twitter as well, PhoneDog_Aaron. Ask me any questions. Let me know what you think about this device if you get your hands on it on the 20th. And just questions in general. I always love to hear from you, PhoneDog_Aaron. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.